Hello, it's time for Writer's Workshop. This is Miss Alpine here, and today we're going to continue talking about the 6 traits of writing with focusing on the trait of voice. So far we've already talked about 2 different traits. We talked about the trait of ideas and the trait of organization. But today we're going to learn about how we can add voice into our writing. Now, when we add voice to our writing, we want the readers to be able to hear how we feel about the topic. And so, if you're writing a narrative, you want them to feel either excited or maybe scared or happy because you want them to be entertained by the story. Now, before you even think about, well, how do I really add voice? You have to make sure that you care about the topic. Whatever you're writing about, you have to have some interest in. Imagine if you really, truly didn't want to write about it. Could you think about how that might sound to the reader? When they go to read your writing, they're probably going to hear it as kind of being robotic, and it's not going to be very interesting. So you want to make sure that you either do a little bit of research to understand more about the topic you're going to write about, or choose a topic that does really, truly interest you. When you also go into write, you need to consider who your audience is. Now, the audience is anyone who's going to be reading what you wrote. And of course, every writer writes so that someone reads it. Now, if you're going to be writing a narrative for a friend, you're going to write a story for them to read. You're going to want to make sure that when they're reading it, they could hear whether you or the characters are excited or nervous or scared or frustrated. And you have to make sure that when you're writing that, you get that across to your reader. But what if your audience was your principal and you had to write them an email apologizing maybe for starting, I don't know, a food fight during lunch? Could you imagine? Well, your audience there is a little bit different than writing to a friend. So you'd probably want to write something that's a little bit more professional and maybe not as silly as if it was something that you were writing to like a friend. So we always want to consider that audience. Now, you want to make sure too that you express how you feel or how the characters feel when you're writing. And good writers, when they include voice, they don't just say, I was sad, I was happy. They're going to find clever ways to say and express how they're feeling without literally saying, I felt, and then they say how they felt. And we'll talk about that. And if you really do have good voice, the audience can actually probably tell what your favorite part is because you're going to add a lot of detail and expression there. So over here, we see some of the feelings we might hear in your writing. And over here are some ways that we can help add that voice into your writing. And some things that you could do when you're typing or you're writing this out, if you do things like add big letters here, bold letters, or capitals, that's kind of telling the reader, I'm shouting, or this is important. And so that's kind of cool because we can hear voice without hearing it. We get to just see it in those bold or capital letters. Sometimes even just underlining the word or changing the color of particular words are also going to express that voice. And of course, you guys, punctuation is huge to add voice. Remember, exclamation points, those are telling us that we should be shouting this part. And that really adds that voice in your writing. Be careful though. We should not see as teachers that your whole story has big, bold, capital words, because then it kind of seems like you're shouting at us the whole entire time. You really want to make sure that if you use these big, bold, capital words, you're only putting a word here and there that you really think someone would be kind of shouting or expressing. So just like the other traits, we're going to see examples of voice in writing. So this is what a real author used to show their voice. One of my favorite stories, The Recess Queen. Some of you might have read this before, but it's always good to hear it again. As you are watching this video, I want you to really pay attention and look for the voice of the writer. Does the writer seem interested in what she's talking about? And does she use like big, bold words or letters and punctuation to really express that voice in her writing. Let's take a look.
The Recess Queen by Alexis O'Neill and Laura Haliska-Beath. Mean Jean was recess queen, and nobody said any different. Nobody swung until Mean Jean swung. Nobody kicked until Mean Jean kicked. Nobody bounced until Mean Jean bounced. If kids ever crossed her, she'd push 'em and smush 'em, lollapaloosh 'em, hammer 'em, slammer 'em, kits and kajammer 'em. Say what? Mean Jean growled. Say who? Mean Jean howled. Say you. Just who do you think you're talking to? Mean Jean always got her way. Until one day, a new kid came to school. Katie Sue. A teeny kid. A tiny kid. A kid you might scare with a jump and a boo. But when the recess bell went ringety ring, this kid ran zingety zing for the playground gate. Katie Sue swung before Mean Jean swung. Katie Sue kicked before Mean Jean kicked. Katie Sue bounced before Mean Jean bounced. The kid you might scare with a jump and a boo was too new to know about Mean Jean, the recess queen. Well, Mean Jean bullied through the playground crowd. Like always, she pushed kids and smushed kids, lollapalooshed kids, hammered 'em, slammered 'em, kits and kajammered 'em as she charged after that Katie Sue. Say what? She growled. Say who? She howled. Say you, she snarled and grabbed Katie Sue by the collar. Nobody swings until Queen Jean swings. Nobody kicks until Queen Jean kicks. Nobody bounces until Queen Jean bounces. And she figured that would set the record straight. She figured wrong. Katie Sue talked back. Just as sassy as could be, she said, "How did you get so bossy?" Then that puny thing, that loony thing, grabbed the ball and bounced away. Oh, Katie Sue was one quick kid. She bolted quick as lightning. Bouncity, bouncity, bounce. Kickety, kickety, kick. Swingety, swingety, swing. Mean Jean thundered close behind. Bouncity, kickety, swingety. The recess queen was not amused. She raced and chased and in-your-faced that Katie Sue. No one spoke. No one moved. No one breathed. Then from her pack pulled Katie Sue, a jump rope clean and bright. "Hey, Jeanie Beanie," sang Katie Sue, "let's try this jump rope out." Here's one thing true, until that day, no one dared ask Mean Jean to play. But that Katie Sue just hopped and jumped and skipped away. "I like ice cream, I like tea, I want Jean to jump with me." Jean just gaped and stared, as if too scared to move at all. So Katie Sue sang once more. "I like popcorn, I like tea, I want Jean to jump with me." Then from the side a kid called out, "Go, Jean, go!" And too surprised to even shout, Jean jumped in with Katie Sue. "I like cookies, I like tea, I want you to jump with me." The rope whizzed and slapped. Faster, faster, the rope spun and flapped. Faster, faster, till it caught in a tangled disaster. But they just giggled and jumped again. Well, now when recess rolls around, that playground's one great place. At the school bell's ringety ring, those two girls race zingety zing out the classroom door. Jean doesn't push kids and smush kids, lollapaloosh kids, hammer 'em, slammer 'em, kits and kajammer 'em, 'cause she's having too much fun rompity romping with her friends. Bouncity, kickety, swingety, hoppity, skippity, jumpity, ringety, zingety, yes. Don't be a bully. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe if you haven't already.
Okay. So let's reflect on the recess queen and see if that story and the author included voice. First off, did the author seem to care about her topic? Yeah, of course she did. She had a lot of information there. It was interesting. And that showed that she really cared about this story that she wrote. Does the writer write to the correct audience? Well, probably it's going to be kids reading this story, especially school age kids, probably around your age. And she found and chose a topic that not only is going to be interesting to you, but she made it interesting with all the interesting details and the activities that kids your age normally do. So I think perfect. Wrote to the audience and made it entertaining. And does she express emotion? Absolutely. So remember, we talked about using like big, bold words when you want certain words to kind of pop. And what pops here on this example? Look at this: swung, kicked, bounced. It pops out with you, or pops out of the page just by being bold and big. And so that kind of adds that voice and that expression to the writing. And then even at the bottom here, look at this expression, boo, and it has an exclamation point. Again, it shows that emotion. So today, what you're going to be doing for your writing assignment is another journal write. In this journal, you're going to be considering the trait of voice. And I want you to think about a time when you were really nervous or worried. And I want you to write about what happened. So let's take a look at the assignment for more details. In your Google Classroom, now that we've watched and learned about the trait of voice, when you go to write and tell us about a time when you were nervous or worried, remember, we as an audience should hear the voice in your writing. So it says, make sure to include voice when needed with bold text, all caps, and punctuation. Not every single word should be bold text or all caps, just some certain words that you really want to pop out for the reader. You also want to make sure that you stay on topic. So only tell me about that one time you were really nervous or worried, and not just a bunch of different times. So just think about one exact time. Maybe it was like a time you were going on a roller coaster ride, or maybe you went into a spooky, like haunted house. Tell me about just that one topic and stay on that one story, that one topic. You want to describe using your 5 senses. So remember, how did you feel? What did you see? What did you hear? What did you smell? What did you taste if you tasted something? Describe all of that. And just like every great narrative, every good story, it should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Keep in mind, friends, 2 sentences is not a good story. So your story should be about 5 to 7 sentences. If it's a little bit longer, that's great. But you need at least 5 sentences. All right, let's go and be writers.